seminars, there would be 50 to 60% of people in this room here today that just with one of the strategies you'll learn today would be able to replace your income in the next 90 to 180 days. Replace or supplement equal to what you'd make more money from maybe half an hour a month from one particular strategy alone than what most of you would earn from working 40 hours a week. Who's following what I'm saying here? Who would like, keep your hand up if you'd like to be in that 50 or 60% of people? Okay, I will be choosing volunteers later today. No, I'm just kidding. Statistically, some people in position, on the current financial position, statistically about more than half the people in this room, that they could implement strategies almost immediately that could do that. Okay, where other people would take longer because you're starting from a lower financial base. Make sense? So that's exciting because a lot of things can happen sooner. They don't have to wait 10, 20 years to get a result. And that's what you'll start to learn today. So here's what I want you to do before we get started. Is I want you to, in a moment, meet 3 or 4 people around you and say, what's your name, where you're from, okay, and why are you here today? And you can't just say, well, I was dragged here today, Jamie. I don't know why I'm here. Okay. If you were, you're here now, you might as well learn something. In other words, what would you like to get out of today? Your name, where you're from, what would you like to get out of today? Go for it quickly, meet 3 or 4 other people. Okay, before we get into some of the strategies today, let me, what gives me the right to speak on subjects such as success and money in general? I'll be right up front with you. My goal nor agenda today is not to give you financial advice. I don't have a PhD in financial planning, nor am I a licensed financial advisor. But what I do have is a PhD in results. In other words, I stand here today as someone that has had to go out and, just like everyone else, I didn't inherit my wealth. I had to start with nothing and go out and learn. Initially by trial and error until I figured out that's the slow way to do things. And then I figured out the faster way to do is find role models and mentors and find out what they did and then model that. And because I was able to learn at a rapid rate, I was able to produce results. And as a result, I've been able to go out and make millions of dollars in real estate. I've been able to generate significant monthly cash flows from the share market over the years. And I've been able to build multi-million-dollar businesses starting from scratch. Okay, I've also been learning about internet marketing, make millions of dollars a year from the internet. All these things, when I first started, I didn't know anything about it, but I followed the same recipe. Now, I'm not here to share that with you to impress you, but to impress upon you that I'm someone that's had to go out, like most of us want to learn the stuff, implement, and produce a result. Does that make sense? And today, I get to live a lifestyle that 11 years ago was a dream. Where I have the freedom to travel the world, have multiple homes, have the time to help family and friends, and make a difference. That's all been able to happen because it's planned and created, and by doing the same things that I'm willing to teach and educate to you. Does that make sense? Also I've had, the advantage as well, what I've learned a lot also by, I've been invited to speak now to over about 165,000 people, Australia, New Zealand, predominantly, all around the world. And by educating and working with a lot of people, particularly in Australia, I've seen, all people from all different financial backgrounds, and I've been able to assist people go from some people that in tremendous amount of debt. When some people say, well, I don't have any money to do these strategies, and I'm thinking back, 11 years ago, I would have loved to have been starting at zero. Does that make sense? In other words, I was starting well below zero. So if you're starting at zero, yeah, that was a good head start. But most people that come to the seminars are, well above zero, so can really take advantage of these things much quicker than I could have when I was starting many years ago. So I've had that advantage and been able to work with a lot of people and be able to articulate those particular strategies. So the other thing I want to look at today, first of all, when we get into some of the strategies, the first thing I want to share with you and help you identify, what I talked about before, is why is it that most people are not rich when we live in a rich country? Because if we can understand that, then we can know what not to do. And we can understand that it's not because we can't be rich, it's because it's actually quite possible. So many of you probably heard the statistics before, about 93 to 95, 96% of the population in Australia at age 65 will either be dead or dead broke effectively. Okay? In other words, they'll be dependent on government, pension, or family members to support their lifestyle once they stop working. Does that make sense? And now often what's happening in Australia is that the retirement ages are going down or up for most people. It's going up, talking about now 70 and 75, people continue working, things like that. So most people have to continue to work. So in a country like that, the statistics are only about 4 or 5% of the population will become financially independent. In other words, they can retire at age 65 and not need a job to be able to maintain their lifestyle. And only about 1% of the population is what is classified as rich. 1 out of 100, okay? In a country where there's tremendous amount of wealth and a lot more people could be. So you could look at that and say, well, it's just the lucky few. Maybe win lotto or inherit it or marry into it. They just get lucky and they're lucky few. And some people think that way. But when you start to understand why most people are not wealthy, you can see it's not because they couldn't be. My belief is that, statistically you can work this out as well. If they divided all the wealth on the planet equally amongst everyone, did you know that everyone would be a millionaire? Did you know that? Actually, everyone would be worth about $3 million, they've worked out.